June 28, 1941. The dusty plains near Dubno, Ukraine, where the summer heat shimmers off endless wheat fields, turning the air into a choking haze of exhaust and cordite. Lieutenant Friedrich von der Heydte, commanding a Panzer III in the 6th Panzer Division, wipes sweat from his brow through the open turret hatch. Tracks grind forward, the engines roar, drowning distant artillery. His column, sleek Mark IIIs and IVs, victors of Poland and France, advances confidently, scouts reporting scattered Soviet resistance ahead. You can almost taste the dry earth kicked up by treads, feel the vibration rattling your bones as the first silhouettes emerge from the dust cloud. Not the expected clunky BT-7s or T-26s, something new, squat and sloped, barreling at impossible speed. "Feuer!" Heydte shouts. The 50mm gun barks, shells streaking true. Impact sparks fly, but the enemy tank doesn't slow. It charges, 76mm gun swiveling with lethal grace. Another round from Heydte's gunner, ricochet whines harmlessly away. The beast closes, its diesel growl deeper, tracks wider, chewing ground like a predator. Panic ripples through the crew. "It's bouncing off," the loader yells, slamming another AP round home. The T-34, unknown, uncharted, fires back. Heydte's Panzer shudders, side armor pierced, smoke billowing from the engine. Men bail out into the wheat, flames licking the hull. Around them, the battlefield erupts, more T-34s emerging, their angled armor deflecting hits like magic, Christie suspension eating rough terrain while German panzers bog down. Heydte crawls to cover, watching his division's advance halt in chaos. Reports crackle over radio. New Soviet tank, impenetrable frontally, our 37mm and 50mm useless. This is Operation Barbarossa's 6th day. Blitzkrieg's promise shattering against a machine the Wehrmacht never saw coming. In Berlin, intelligence folders had dismissed Soviet designs as crude, Bolshevik industry as backward. Subhuman engineering, Hitler sneered in briefings. Yet here, in the Ukraine's blood-soaked fields, the T-34 reveals itself as a nightmare forged in secrecy. But how did a nation written off as primitive birth this armored revolution? And why did Germany's vaunted Panzer arm falter so spectacularly? December 1937. The frozen testing grounds outside Kharkov, Ukraine, where snow swirls around a prototype rumbling across the tundra like a mechanical beast unchained. Mikhail Koshkin, chief designer at Factory 183, stands bundled in a greatcoat, breath fogging the air as his creation, the A-34, charges through drifts that would bog lesser tanks. The wide tracks spread weight effortlessly, Christie suspension absorbing shocks, sloped armor plates gleaming under floodlights. Diesel engine roars without overheating, 76.2mm gun elevating smoothly. You can almost feel the biting wind whipping your face, hear the deep growl echoing across the steppe as Koshkin watches with fierce pride. This is no crude copy, it's innovation born of desperation. Soviet designers like Koshkin, inspired by American J. Walter Christie's suspended designs but rejecting his gasoline engines for reliable diesel, forged something revolutionary. Sloped armor, simple geometry deflecting shots where flat plates fail, wide tracks for Russia's mud and snow, powerful gun in a low silhouette. But the road to production is hell. Stalin's purges claim predecessors, engineers shot as wreckers. Koshkin pushes relentlessly, driving prototypes 2,000 kilometers to Moscow in March 1940 to prove reliability. He contracts pneumonia, dies months later, but his tank lives. In secret factories beyond the Urals, production ramps. T-34s roll out by thousands, simple to build, forgiving of rough welding, using unskilled labor. By June 1941, over 1,000 deployed, many crews barely trained. German intelligence misses it entirely. Abwehr reports, Soviet tanks obsolete, industry backward. Guderian, architect of blitzkrieg, briefs, their armor is thin, guns weak. Hitler scoffs at Bolshevik junk. Yet scattered encounters hint at terror. In Lithuania, June 24th, a lone KV-1, T-34's heavy cousin, holds a bridge against a Panzer regiment for a day. 88mm guns rushed forward, shells bouncing. The monster finally stopped by diving Stukas and sabotage. Panzer crews whisper in letters home, new tanks, fast, low, shots glance off. Command dismisses as exaggeration. No upgunning ordered for Panzers. 37mm door knockers remain standard. The T-34 isn't perfect. Early models lack radios, turrets cramped, optics poor, but in masses on defense it overwhelms. As 1941's summer turns to autumn mud, the nightmare deepens. German advances slow, Panzers outmatched in duels they once dominated. But the true shock comes in winter, when T-34s counterattack in blizzards German machines cannot match. December 6, 1941. The snow-swept forests north of Moscow, where the temperature plunges to -40 degrees, freezing oil in crankcases and breath into ice on beards. Hauptmann Hans von Luck, commanding a Panzer regiment in the 7th Panzer Division, peers through frost-cracked vision blocks as his Mark IV idles, engine coughing in the cold. Fuel lines clogged, radiators burst, turrets seized. German machines, designed for European summers, betray their crews in Russia's merciless grip. You can almost feel the numbing chill seeping through steel, hear the desperate hammering of wrenches as mechanics try to thaw engines with blowtorches. Von Luck's division, once racing toward the capital, now digs in against the gathering storm. Scouts report movement. Siberian troops, fresh and fur-clad, emerging from blizzards like ghosts. Then they come, waves of T-34s, engines roaring without hesitation, wide tracks gliding over snow where narrow German treads sink. Sloped armor sheds ice, diesel immune to freezing. Von Luck orders fire. The 75mm KWK-40 barks, shells striking true. Ricochets spark into the night. The T-34s press on, closing to point blank, their 76.2mm guns outranging and outpunching. A lead T-34 rams a Mark III aside, tracks churning snow into red slush as infantry follows. Von Luck's tank rocks from a hit, side penetration, loader screaming as shrapnel tears flesh. "Rückzug," he shouts, retreat. For the first time, the Wehrmacht flees in disorder, abandoning frozen panzers like tombstones. Zhukov's counteroffensive unleashes thousands of T-34s from reserves, factories relocated east churning them relentlessly. German reports flood OKH. The Russian tank is superior in armor, armament, and mobility. Our panzers are outclassed. Guderian demands longer guns, better armor, overruled. Hitler rages. The troops are failing, not the machines. Panzer crews adapt desperately, aim for tracks, flanks, use 88mm flak in direct fire, but losses mount. Irreplaceable veterans, tanks towed by horses when fuel runs dry. Von Luck writes home, "We underestimated everything, the cold, the space, this tank. It haunts us." The T-34's psychological blow deepens. German soldiers nickname it Mickey Mouse for twin turret hatches, but fear underlies jokes. Captured crews interrogated. Soviets boast of simple design, easy repair, mass production. As winter bites deeper, the Moscow Drive collapses. 200,000 casualties, hundreds of tanks lost. The blitzkrieg myth shatters. But the nightmare peaks in 1943's summer sun at a field called Kursk, where T-34s in depths will face the Reich's last great gamble. July 5, 1943. The rolling hills around Prokhorovka, where the summer sun beats down on golden wheat fields soon to be churned into mud and blood. Oberstleutnant Franz Bock, commanding a Tiger company in the SS Leibstandarte division, grips the cupola rail as his 56-ton beast lumbers forward, the Maybach engine thundering beneath him. Kursk salient, the greatest tank battle in history. Operation Citadel, Hitler's last offensive gamble to pinch off the Soviet bulge and regain initiative. You can almost smell the hot oil and cordite, feel the ground tremble as hundreds of tigers, panthers, and elephants advance in wedge formation. Bach's Tiger leads, 88mm KWK-36 trained ahead, confident in its thick armor and long-range punch. Intelligence promised weakened Soviets after Stalingrad, yet scouts report massive minefields, dug-in defenses. Then the horizon erupts. Hundreds of T-34s, including new 85mm variants, surge from concealed positions, closing at breakneck speed. No long-range duel, Soviets charge to negate German gun superiority. Bach orders fire. Panzer Granata, 1,200 meters. The 88 barks, claiming kills, but the swarm presses, sloped armor deflecting or absorbing hits. Chaos engulfs Prokhorovka. Over 600 tanks clash in smoke and dust, visibility near zero. T-34 85s ram close, flanking heavy Tigers whose slow turrets can't traverse fast enough. Bach's Tiger rocks from multiple impacts, side hits penetrating, crew compartment filling with smoke. Aussteigen, he yells. Bail out. Flames lick the hull as he leaps into the wheat, watching his command brew up. German crews, trained for precise gunnery, panic in the melee. T-34s sacrifice numbers for disruption, ramming, point-blank shots. One Tiger commander later recalls, "They came like wolves, fearless, our superior optics useless in the dust." Manstein and Model beg halt, losses unsustainable. Hitler, fixated on will triumphing, presses on. By July 12th, Allies land in Sicily. Hitler diverts forces west. Citadel cancelled. Losses: 700 German tanks, irreplaceable. Soviets lose thousands, but replace them in months. T-34 production peaks, over 35,000 total war, variants improving relentlessly. Panzer aces like Michael Wittmann score prodigiously, but admit privately the T-34 was our nightmare. Simple, reliable, endless. The Eastern Front turns irreversible. Germany on defense, initiative lost forever. But the T-34's terror peaks in 1944's summer storm, Bagration, where it annihilates entire army groups. June 22, 1944. The dense forests of Belarusia, where the summer dawn breaks humid and still, broken only by the distant rumble of artillery preparation. Hauptmann Otto Carius, ace commander of a Tiger I in the 502nd Heavy Panzer Battalion, scans the horizon from his cupola, the air thick with pine resin and tension. Operation Bagration, Soviet code for vengeance 3 years after Barbarossa's launch, begins with a barrage that shakes the earth like thunder. You can almost feel the ground shudder underfoot, hear the whistle of Katyusha rockets screaming overhead as Carius's Tiger idles in concealed positions. Army Group Center, depleted after Kursk and Normandy diversions, holds a fragile line. Scouts report massive buildup, yet German intelligence, blinded by racial arrogance, predicts limited attacks. Then the avalanche hits. Thousands of T-34 85s, supported by IS-2 heavies, pour from assembly areas, wide tracks churning mud where German panzers struggle. Maskirovka deception complete. Soviets strike where weakest. Carius's radio crackles with panic. Enemy tanks in hundreds, flanks turned. His Tiger engages, 88mm claiming kills at range, but the swarm envelops. T-34s improved with better optics, radios, and 85mm guns, dual Tigers on equal terms, while outnumbering 10-1. Carius scores prodigiously, one day claiming 10, but isolated companies overwhelmed. Tracks flanked, sides penetrated, crews bail into forests, Tigers abandoned for lack of fuel or recovery. The front collapses catastrophically. In weeks, Army Group Center destroyed, 28 divisions encircled, 350,000 casualties. Roads clogged with wrecked panzers, horses pulling guns. Carius retreats fighting, diary entry bitter. The T-34 is everywhere, reliable in mud, fast. Our heavy cats too few, too slow. Soviet production miracle. 1944 alone, 19,000 T-34s built. Germany manages 5,000 total tanks. Lend-Lease trucks haul them relentlessly. Crew training improves. Veterans now, not 1941's novices. German soldiers captured in droves whisper fear. The Russian tank, it comes and comes, never stops. Morale plummets. Assassination plot July 20th follows, officers seeing doom. Bagration clears path to Warsaw, Vistula. The Eastern Front hemorrhages, Germany's best armies gone. But the T-34's final triumph comes in Berlin's streets, where it avenges Moscow's near fall.
April 16, 1945. The rubble-choked outskirts of Berlin, where the spring air reeks of burning wood, cordite, and decay from unburied bodies. Obergefreiter Karl Müller, a young gunner in a battered Panther of the Müncheberg Division, hunches in his turret amid the shattered facades of Seelow Heights. Soviet artillery has pounded for days, Katyushas screaming like banshees, the ground erupting in geysers of earth. His tank, one of the last operational cats, idles behind a ruined farmhouse, engine coughing from dust-clogged filters. You can almost taste the acrid smoke stinging your throat, feel the constant tremor as shells walk closer. Müller peers through cracked optics, the horizon black with movement. Zhukov's final push, first Belarusian front unleashing hell. Then they appear, endless columns of T-34-85s, IS-2s flanking, rolling through minefields like an armored tide. Wide tracks crush obstacles, sloped armor shedding hits from desperate 88s. Müller's commander shouts, "Engage!" The 75mm KWK-42 barks, claiming a T-34 at range. But the swarm closes. Hundreds, veterans now, coordinated by radio. Flanks turned, infantry with PTRD anti-tank rifles picking tracks. A T-34-85 rams close, 85mm blasting the Panther's side. Penetration, fire erupting inside. Müller bails, rolling into a crater as his tank brews up. Berlin's streets become killing grounds, barricades of furniture and tramcars manned by Volkssturm boys. T-34s prowl avenues, turrets traversing ruins, blasting strongpoints. IS-2s with 122mm guns demolish bunkers. German crews fight fanatically, Faustpatron ambushes, Tigers in ambush, but outnumbered 15-1. Soviet tankers, hardened by 4 years, press relentlessly. One T-34 commander, Captain Dmitry Loza, later memoirist, recalls, "The Germans fought like lions in their lair, but we were the pack." T-34s adapted, extra armor, better sights, unstoppable in urban chaos. Hitler, in the bunker depths, rages at phantom armies. Reality? T-34s reach the Reichstag by April 30th, shells pounding the Chancellery Garden. The tank that began as a shock in 1941 ends the war hoisting the red banner. German veterans post-war confess the T-34 was our nightmare, simple, tough, endless. We had better guns later, but never enough. Over 57,000 built, more than all German tanks combined. The underestimated beast avenges every frozen corpse outside Moscow, every lost division. Russia's mechanical miracle, forged in secrecy and blood, crushes the Panzer myth forever.
May 8, 1945. The charred ruins of Berlin, where smoke still rises from smoldering buildings and the streets echo with the clank of Soviet tracks patrolling the conquered capital. Captain Ivan Pavlovich, commander of a T-34 85 platoon in the 1st Guards Tank Army, stands atop his turret near the Reichstag, the red banner fluttering above the dome. His tank, dented, scarred from countless duels but running, idles amid the wreckage of German Panzers, a gutted King Tiger here, a burned-out Panther there. Crews pose for photographs, grinning beside the machine that carried them from Moscow to here. You can almost smell the lingering cordite and victory in the air, feel the rumble fading as engines cool. Pavlovich lights a cigarette, gazing at the devastation. This tank, his tank, survived where finer German machines failed. Simple welded hull, reliable V2 diesel, wide tracks that conquered mud, snow, and rubble. Over 4 brutal years it evolved. Better guns, radios, sights, always enough, never perfect, but unstoppable in numbers. German veterans, now prisoners marching east, glance back with haunted eyes. One captured Tiger ace, interviewed post-war, confesses the T-34 was the decisive weapon, not because it was best one-on-one, we had that later, but because you could not kill them all. They kept coming. The numbers tell the story. 57,000 plus T-34s built, variants from 76 millimeters to 85 millimeters, even flamethrowers and recovery vehicles. Germany produced 8,000 Panthers and Tigers combined, technological marvels, but complex, fragile, irreplaceable. Soviet factories relocated east worked miracles, women and teens welding hulls while under threat. Post-war, Western analysts study wrecks, sloped armor principle adopted universally, diesel engines preferred for reliability. The T-34 influences designs from Israel's Merkava to Korea's K-2, simple, tough, mass-producible. Soviet crews paid dearly, early losses horrific from poor tactics, no radios, but they learned. By 1944-45, veterans like Pavlovich outfought German aces through coordination and aggression. The underestimated tank didn't just win battles, it shattered myths. German superiority in engineering, crushed by Soviet pragmatism. Blitzkrieg invincibility, buried in Russian soil. In the end, the T-34 wasn't flawless, it was enough and endless. The nightmare that turned invaders into the invaded.